Okay, so the goal is not to increase the number of stars on Google reviews.
Right.
The goal is to have loyal advocate customers that will sustain our business for as long as we want to keep doing this.
And that is what comes out when you do a visioning exercise.
Clear thinking, cogently discussed. If that's what you're looking for, you may have come to the wrong spot. On the other hand, they are nice guys, Mark and Mike. It doesn't take a genius.
Ramsey!
Marshall, just a pleasure to see you. And, I want to say that you haven't noticed the change in my backdrop, and I'm a little hurt.
There is artwork that I have yet to explore the origin story of this mosaic Picasso-esque masterpiece.
It is a Moreau, and it is on the wall. It's a mural on the wall of the Cincinnati Art Museum, which is
You mean it
free.
was on the wall at the Cincinnati Art Museum?
Okay, this is a reproduction. This is a much
Oh.
smaller reproduction. I'm sorry, I should have clarified.
Oh
But,
no, I was really excited that you were borrowing things from museums.
right. That would be great.
Yeah,
Yeah, a little
like-
loan program at the museum.
Yeah, well, I was at the British Museum. That seems to be how they got all of their stuff.
I see where you're going there. Well, it does fit with what we're talking about today because we're sort of expanding on what we talked about last time, which was this idea that you want to get better at getting better. You want to constantly be growing this culture of continuous improvement, and we talked about sort of this danger of you come up with something innovative and then everybody copies it, and then there's this race to the bottom, and everybody takes you're so tempted yourself to take shortcuts, and doggone it, that's not what it's about. It's long-term improvement. It's continually coming up with innovative things and ways that you're improving yourself. And so we're on episode 2 of a series on having a culture of continuous improvement, what the Japanese call Kaizen. And today we're going to talk about something that I think Moreau was really good at, which is being really curious and almost whimsical and thinking about what might be. And he created really surreal visions. Yeah, that's how I connected it, Mike. Took me about a minute to get there, but yeah, we're going to talk about vision today and how that impacts a culture of continuous improvement. So that's my lame attempt at a setup to introduce this episode. How do you think I did?
I see it. I see it clearly.
Oh, you see it.
Yes,
Good.
well, yeah, it dovetails so nicely with the last episode. Right? One of the cornerstones of being better at being being better at being better is relentless curiosity.
Right.
Exploring every avenue, gathering ideas. Right. We wanted to turn on the faucet of ideas. We need them popping up, and we were gonna solicit them and all that good stuff. And then as you're sitting there, if you're a leader, and we've run into this, you're like, what if I get a whole avalanche of ideas?
Yeah.
What if I get a flood of ideas? What's the triage system? How do you determine which ones to act upon? What to do? And with looking at Seth Godin and some of his works, it dovetails with what we always do, which is what Covey said: begin with the end in mind.
That's right.
The idea that you need a vision. You need as Seth calls it, the North Star, right? What is this thing out in the distance that I'm moving towards? And do the ideas that I have gathered, which ones align with that and will move me a little bit closer to it?
Yeah, and we're going to talk about this in a future episode in a related topic, but it makes me think of James Clear talking about, he talks about atomic habits, these little tiny changes that you make that make you better and better and better. But he says those habits are votes on the kind of person you want to be. Well, something you want to be is in the future, right? And so we're talking about vision.
Yeah, if every habit is a vote for who you want to be, it may behoove you to decide Who do you
Who
want to
do
be?
who do you want to be?
Yeah, this is a good place to start.
Well,
Go ahead.
go ahead. Go ahead.
No, we've done this right. We've worked with audiences and organizations all the way down to individuals, right? Whether it's a large
Yeah.
multi-million-dollar business, a department, or an individual, all can have a vision.
That's exactly right. Vision applies to anybody who has an aspiration, any group that has an aspiration. You have a vision, or your aspiration can be a vision if you take the time to think it through that way, and get the power of that. So I did bring some show and tell, so I'll describe what we're talking about for the audience that is on our audio only versions.
Wow.
But
And just so you know, there's no additional charge for this podcast, with the addition of the supporting material and visuals.
It's so true. We were tempted to raise the price 3 times what we're already charging, but these nuggets are free, folks.
We are
That's
givers, just givers.
So, so let's talk about vision, and I've got the slides here, and this is really this is sort of a why question, right? And Godin sort of makes that point, calling it the big why. Um, let's take it from our good friend Herb Mast. He uses this example a lot, and in fact gives out a special sort of souvenir penny to help people remember this fact. We interviewed him on the podcast. Gosh, literally years ago. He has an incredible book about intentional leadership, and we'll link to that in the show notes. Interestingly enough, the classical education community that I'm a part of with my kids uses this example as well, the very same example. So here's the setup, and I know you know the answer to this, Mike, but the question is, which would you rather have? $1 million? I will hand you $1 million right now, or I'll hand you a penny right now. There's a catch. The penny doubles in value every day. So each day, whatever the value is, it goes up double that for 30 days. So $1 million now, or 30 days of a penny doubling in value.
All right. So you're handing me a penny now. Tomorrow, you're going to give me a second penny. The next day, you're going to give me 4 pennies.
That's right.
The next day, you're going to give me 8. And this is going to go on for a month.
This is going to go on for 30 days. That's correct.
Yeah. All right. Let me think about the tax implications.
How about I cut to the chase for you? I've got some further slides. So yeah, it turns out if you let it double over 30 days, and anybody who's playing along probably figured out that there's a catch here. Yeah, well, the catch is over $10 million. It's that penny doubles and doubles and doubles until it's $10,737,418.24. And I can show the math. Nobody can read this. It's an eye chart. But if you look at it's compound interest, right? Basically, the compound interest here is 100%, which you're probably not going to find at a bank or in the stock market. But the reality is that if you sort of zoom in on the first few days, it's just what you said, right? A penny turns into 2, 2 turns to 4, 4 turns to 8, 8 turns to 16. But that keeps happening, and it really gathers steam toward the end, right? You day 25, you're still at you've made it to 6 figures, but 160,000 becomes 330,000, becomes 600,000, becomes $1 million plus, becomes $2 million plus, becomes $5 million plus, becomes 10.7 million. So this is how compound interest works, right? It's just an issue of how long you let this go on to where it's increasing its value. So let me show you, Mike, before we start talking about this. Here's an example of what this would look like in the stock market. Let's say that you gave $100 into your retirement account or what have you every month for 5 years. and average return of 10%. It's pretty standard for an S&P 500 index to be around 10%. And you just look at that over the course of 5 years. Hey, extra money. The money that you would have had is somewhere north of $5,000, and instead you got almost $8,000 because of the interest that you get on top of that $100 a month that you've been putting in. So the principal versus the interest, you're gaining about 2 grand because you've let it sit for that long, earning money for you, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's 5 years. That's just 5 years.
What did Einstein say? The most powerful force in the world is compound interest.
Well, so let's play that out. And do you want to describe the chart here, the blue versus the green, so that folks can appreciate it that aren't seeing the video?
Yeah. So if I'm looking at it, right, I got a X and Y axis starting at $0, going all the way up to a little over or close to $8,000. The total principal, yeah, with just the amount of money I'm investing, is a nice straight line. Right, I'm going to put in this $100 a month. We're going to do that for 5 years. It's a predictable outcome. It's simple math addition. But when I start compounding that with a 10% increase, and you think about that's not very much, right? If I in the realm of what we're talking about, if I could get 10% better, and I could do that, over the course of months and then years, all of a sudden, the return is substantially greater with the same investment of initial principal.
That's it. And so let's keep playing that out. We'll take it from 5 years to 20 years. And now, what do you notice different about the blue versus the green, the principal versus the interest?
Oh yeah, you've got almost a hockey stick looking line, right? Where it starts out, you're going on along the long handle of the hockey stick, and then you get towards the end, and it just swoops up.
Yeah,
dramatic.
And the blue, the principal is still just stair stepping up. It's nice, but it's vastly outweighed by how much money you've made in interest. It just keeps working out better and better for you as you let that happen, right? So again, what we're talking about here is short-term gratification versus delayed gratification, right? I could have spent that $100 easy at the beginning of the whole process. I mean, trust me, I got plenty to spend money on. But if I'm willing to defer my gratification, there's something worth achieving at the end here, right? Whether it's, I don't know what it is after 20 years. It's, my child's college fund or, down payment on a retirement home or whatever it is. But that's the general, I guess, metaphor I wanted to give here is that compound interest is a great way to visualize what we're doing with a vision. And in fact, I'll double down on this. I found this article. Nobody needs to read the actual article, but it's talking about, what are some trends for modern luxury? What are some things that matter to really high-end luxury clients? So newsflash, these are people who have already had compound interest work out for them, right? The money is not an issue. And you'll notice the very first sentence in this section says, in the modern world, time has become a coveted currency. That's what people care about. We have money, and we all have a little bit of money, and some of us have more money, and we all have time. And it turns out time, we all have the same amount, and it's burning a hole in our metaphorical pockets and being spent. What are we doing with our time, right? It took 20 years for this compound interest to work out to where I had, close to 80 grand in value. And that cost me, right? It cost me $100 a month of deferred enjoyment. But the real question here is, what's worth that delayed gratification? Whether it's your money or more what we're interested in, what we do with our time as individuals, as organizations, what's worth a long-term investment that we're trying to achieve. And so that's a setup for what we're talking about. And I learned from you a really cool exercise about um, how to decide what's worth it. And I guess what I'm going to do, Mike, I guess we probably need to keep our client anonymous here, but here's a really cool picture of a beautiful, beautiful new Gen 5 Porsche facility, Porsche Center. And do you want to tell a little bit of a story of what you did that helped this come to be, this vision come to be?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, this was very exciting. It's many times within our work we don't get to see the end product, right? We don't
Right.
get to see the leader in action. We don't get to see the change that results from the application of the ideas in our workshops and things like that. So this was very special. So let's go back 18 months before that. This business owner, they were in one of our workshops, and the idea was to craft a vision. And when you think about crafting a vision, most people's, their eyes just roll back in their head. Okay, we're going to spend 6 to 8 weeks, like in meetings, wordsmithing, and all the words that we need, right, are going to be family, integrity, caring, trustworthy. You're like, yeah, we can't. I don't have time for that. Nobody has time for that. So the idea is, in this case, right, we used to do this visioning exercise 5 years out.
Mm-hmm.
But with the pace of change being so insane, right,
Yeah.
and the future so uncertain, that we've now modified it to imagine, all right, imagine a year from now. Uh, if a year from now, what would the future look like?
Mm-hmm.
What would your customers be doing? What would you be doing? What would success look like? What would it feel like?
Mm-hmm.
And you start to wrap your head around that. And so we give each of the get each of the participants. In this case, we gave this person a blank piece of paper and a little box of colored pencils, and said, draw that, right?
Yeah.
Draw or sketch how it will look, how it will feel, how it will sound. And what will you be doing? What will your customers be doing? Where will this be taking place? What will your team members be doing?
And
And
Mike, couldn't I just write this out? Couldn't I just write a little, type up a little paragraph?
well, that would be nice, except for time saving standpoint, a picture is worth how many words?
Oh, easily 1,000.
Oh, 1,000. Yeah, that's the estimate that we've been given. So I can have you write 1,000 word essay. Many of our clients, as dedicated as they are, seem to, it just is a bridge too far. so so what if we drew a picture, and the idea, it is so obvious. What word or what idea is incumbent in the word vision?
Hmm. Visual.
Yeah, vision. I should be able to see it.
Yeah.
like you should paint me a picture.
Yeah.
Can you paint a picture with 1,000 words? Absolutely. But it's much easier to figure out, okay, how do I represent this as a series of crudely drawn, right? No artistic skill required, crudely drawn images that would paint a picture of what it will look like, what it will feel like, what we will be doing, and what success looks like 1 year from now. This is literally 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, you got 15 minutes, and take some time, gather your thoughts, and just start to sketch, what it will look like, feel like, and what success looks like. And the caveat is, one of the caveats is to reduce writing. One of the rules for this exercise is you cannot use any characters from the keyboard of a computer.
Yeah.
So, people are like, well, what can I, if I'm drawing my business, can I put the business name on there? Absolutely. I just don't want sentences and paragraphs and things like that.
Right.
This should be a visual exercise.
Yeah.
And so the idea that once I start to put it on paper, it's been amazing. Every time we've done it, and we've done it literally with over 1,000 people. The outcomes are fantastic.
Yeah, it's shocking what this does to unlock people, and some it takes 3 or 4 minutes before they kind of get there. I was doing it recently. That's why it was on my mind. But somebody was just sitting there with a blank piece of paper, and I was like, oh, I better go. I better go help out. And I was like, hey, you need any help? And go. Nope. I'm thinking about this. I'm
Mm-hmm.
thinking about this. And then what they had 15 minutes later was solid gold for them. You never know what they're going to put down. That's the other thing.
Oh
You
yeah.
think you know, but you don't.
Yeah, you get everything from very detailed drawings of actual layouts of businesses and buildings, departments with the correct number of stick figures representing the team and some additional
Yep.
stick figures representing the team's growth. You get little piles of money, people
Yep.
draw cash, representing profitability or something like that, success. So in this case, we had this young owner, business owner. He's drawing his vision, and one of the things we do here is we let them know after it's over that if they will get the opportunity to explain their drawing.
Yeah.
If their drawing is not readily apparent, like
Yeah.
it's not
They'll
perfectly
share.
clear, you'll get a chance to share your vision. So in this case, we had the opportunity 18 months later. Right, we did this exercise. This person really liked what we had done, from a workshop leadership standpoint, and they asked us into the specific business to work with their managers, team members, and things like that. So we arrive and we're talking to the management team, and we're literally sitting in the owner's vision. Right.
Right.
He had envisioned a brand new building. He had envisioned what it would look like. He had envisioned the management team. He had drawn, who the players were who were going to lead this new thing,
Yep.
and what customers would be feeling, and what his team would be feeling. He had drawn all of that, and it was almost surreal because we were sitting there and he pulls out his drawing and he holds it up, and we are literally sitting in the building that he envisioned 18 months earlier.
Yeah. Said
We're,
he had it on his desk that whole time, right?
yeah, we were sitting with the management team
That he had drawn.
that he had drawn,
Yeah.
right, and the vibrancy, the colors, the everything that he wanted this building to represent, and it was all depicted in the drawing, and we were literally sitting in the reality of his vision.
Yeah, such a cool moment. And it just speaks to the power of when you have it in front of you and can say, that's what I'm going for. It really helps you make some calls on now, you know, is this moving me closer to my vision or away from my vision? That's we're getting at continuous improvement toward the vision, which again, that's the point of this series is getting a culture of continuous improvement. We're moving towards that. And just so we're clear, there are tangible things that might be the vision, like the building, but there were some intangible things too, like the people being equipped and ready to lead this thing. I recently did it with another group, and they have a score that they're trying to hit, a number that they're trying to hit, but that wasn't actually what they drew in their vision. They sort of did a group vision, and they talked about peace of mind because they had hit the number. You're like, yes, we'll have a great reputation, and we'll be able to get to other things in our business that we want to get to because we don't have to focus on achieving that one big number. We'll have that done. So the vision was about peace of mind. Well, they visualize that in a certain way, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this can go a lot of different directions. It's a lot of fun. Should we talk about maybe the golden circle here? I feel like that fits in so well. Do you
Oh,
make a connection there?
oh, definitely. Yeah, yeah. The idea that yeah, we know what we do, we know how we do it, but not everybody knows why we do it. And that's the part that drives passion, right? That's the part that produces that extra effort to make things happen. What do you do? Well, we sell cars. All right, how do you do it? Well, we stock a bunch of cars and then we put them on the internet, and people can see them and come buy them. All right, so why do you do it? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you start to think, right? So why do we, as Simon Sinek says, why do we exist, and why should anybody care?
Yep.
Why do we exist, and why should anybody care? Another way to look at it would be, if we were to go out of business today, what would people lament or miss?
Yep.
I miss those guys, right? They were so great to purchase cars from. They were friendly, they were trustworthy, they were transparent, and when you went in there, it just felt like you were home.
Yep.
Oh, okay. So now the vision, right, starts to come out, and you will have your why. You will either set it and work towards it, or it'll happen by default.
Yeah.
And it will be placed upon you. So it behooves you, all right, I've said that word twice today. It will behoove you 3 times to decide what you want to be, who you want to be, and work towards that, versus allowing it to meander until everybody else decides why you exist and why they care.
Yeah, that's why it's
don't care.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why this becomes the North Star. One other thought about that is that maybe you've got a vision in a sense, but you haven't really thought through why it is the vision, right? And so one of my favorite coaching questions is, what will that get you? We're going to be number 1 in the city. Well, what will that get you? And the reason you would ask that is because you're trying to get to the motivations that are deep down in for a group or for an individual. Bragging rights. Well, what will that get you? I love to be on top and to have my peers respect me. Oh, okay. So this is about respect for you, right? And there could be 5 other answers that are equally as valid for another individual or team. But you might have to ask, what will that get you, a few times before you get to the core of, like, this is what really turns us on and motivates us.
Yeah, the question, what's the goal of the goal?
Exactly.
Either a why question or what's the goal of the goal. Yeah. Right. Our we want to get our CSI up, right? Our customer experience scores, our Google reviews. We want to have a higher score. All right. So what's the goal of that? Well, we'd have happier customers. Well, what's the goal of happier customers? Well, we'd have loyal customers. Oh, that's fantastic. So what's the goal of having loyal customers? Well, transactions would be easier, and we'd have a more stable workplace. All right. So what's the goal of happy customers in a stable workplace? Well, at some point they would actually send us other customers. All right. So we would, we would grow. And all of a sudden you're like, okay, so the goal is not to increase the number of stars on Google reviews.
Right.
The goal is to have loyal advocate customers that will sustain our business for as long as we want to keep doing this.
And that is what comes out when you do a visioning exercise, right? You don't stop at we'd achieve this particular metric. That nobody cares deep down. They care about the thing behind that.
Oh yeah, and sometimes you see that in the vision drawings, right? They'll be this picture of a beach and a palm tree, and sun and clouds, and you're like, okay, tell me about it. And then they explain.
A manager in their office.
Yeah.
Like, I'd be back in my office doing the work instead of out here putting out fires. Like, those are the things that get them excited.
Yeah, it would be serene, and our customers would feel comfortable and confident. Our team members would feel comfortable and confident, and there wouldn't be any fires. You're like, okay, that I can get on board with that vision.
That's right.
Right. And that's when you think about a vision, right, it should produce passion.
Right.
Fortune favors the bold. Let's set it out there, and it may be, maybe it's unattainable, but it's worth striving for.
There it is, worth striving for. And that was sort of, I've got sort of a final slide here that I'll just read out loud. But great leaders have a vision that explains why they invest their money and time. And I'll stick an extra word in there that I think applies to this idea of a North Star and why we're doing what we're doing. And that's values. Values maybe gets a little bit into how we do what we do. But this is something that can be a real guidepost for us. And we'll probably do, I guess we haven't talked this out all the way, but I think we'll end up doing a follow-up episode talking about a culture of continuous improvement that, if you're going to define your vision and have that vision out there, probably ought to define your values too, and what are the things that are really important to you as a individual or as an organization. So stay tuned for that as well.
Oh yeah. Well, as we started the whole conversation with, I've got all these ideas, I've got all this input coming in of how we could be more, do more, and be better. And then how do I triage that? The vision becomes the arbiter of whether or not we move forward with an idea.
Yep.
And so that idea of, okay, does this align with our vision? Right? Does this move us closer to who we ultimately want to be? Does this move us closer to why we exist and why should anybody care? And if so, then the idea is worthy of further consideration, which we'll talk about in future episodes. Right? How do you weed through all those ideas?
Right.
The first step is, does it align with our vision? If that's a yes, and I've got 3 or 4 of those, all right, how do I decide which of those to move forward with and to expend, like you say on the screen, to invest my time and money in those?
Beautiful. Well, I'm looking forward to this series because it's all the stuff that we've always done over the years. Everything is about continuous improvement in some way. Everybody's trying to get better at something. And so we're going to be able to, I think we talked about this, we're a nugget factory. We're going to dole out 1 or 2 nuggets per episode that you should be able to take and do something with. And of course, we'd love to hear from you as you reflect on the things that have worked for you for continuous improvement. Put that in the comments when you like and subscribe, and smash that like button or whatever I'm supposed to say right now. But if you need help with any of this, obviously reach out. We'd love to help.
Oh yeah, yeah, and by all means, send us your drawings.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah, we want to see your vision drawings. It's going to be awesome. Go for it.
All right. Well, with that, let's turn it over to a man who's continuously improved everything he's ever done, longer than we've ever done
it. I think that's a compliment. Oh, nice. Yeah, absolutely.
And there you have it. Another session of contemporaneous extemporizing from Mark and Mike. I know it's redundant, but consider who we're talking about. As always, feel free to share the ideas you heard here. No rights are reserved, no permissions needed. Thanks. See you next time on It Doesn't Take a Genius.
That's good enough.